Uh-oh. Hey folks, we're going to do more Scottish Gaelic Tattoo Handbook app today. I'll show you where we got to, but this time we're going to be doing some testing. So, this is what we got currently. And what we did last time was we made it so you could click on these and the blog post would come up. You could put it back down. It's cool. We didn't do any testing on this part the way that we did on the API stuff, and we talked about why that was. We're using a lot of the stuff that you use as effectively plumbing in the iOS framework, and it felt wrong to test the iOS framework, but we would, if we were to try to write unit tests for the part that we wrote, it would be super coupled to our specific implementation and these types of things. And we talked about all those challenges last time and how something like that you can sort of drop down to the next bucket of risk mitigation and put it in a quality assurance plan. Have a list of stuff you want to check. Every time you push changes to the application, make sure it all works and include something like that in there. And I stand by that as an option, but I was thinking about it and it really bothers me that we don't have any kind of test for this. So I'd like to experiment with using a UI test for this blog post clicky functionality. Because at the very least, it would be nice to be able to make sure that the window came up and went down. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a feature of XCode that allows us to record what we're doing on the application and then insert essentially assertions into there so that it becomes a test. Now, before we do this, I just want to let you know that this, like the UI tests in iOS are not great. The functionality is not great. XCode will probably crash 4 times during this stream. It won't want to relaunch because I got OBS running, so we might have to start and stop a bunch of times. I really hope not. And sometimes it just randomly doesn't work, but we're going to do our best. So let me show you where I am in the application. This is our code. And we got 3 targets in here. We got Scottish Gaelic Tattoo Handbook. We got Scottish Gaelic Tattoo Handbook Tests. We got Scottish Gaelic Tattoo Handbook UI Test. So we're going to open up UI Tests here. We're going to click on the UI Tests file. And so then I want to put my cursor inside test example. And you see in the lower right, maybe you can't right now because my avatar might be in the way. You see in the lower right here that there's this record button. So we want to hit that. And what that's going to do is it's going to start recording everything that I do in a test launch of my application. Give it a minute to load. How long does it take golden grams to get soggy? I don't want them soggy, but I don't want to just sit here and eat golden grams. All right, so we are launched up. Let's click one. Cool. Let's click the done button. Click the second one. Click the done button. It needs a minute. Often. Wait for it to record the scroll. Click the third one. Done button. That one really takes it a minute. The done button takes time. Don't crash, XCode, don't crash. There we go. So what we got? So we're going to have to fix some of this because the automated one is always a little jankified. Get rid of that. because we already have that line 32 on line 28. Doesn't want me to delete it because it's busy yelling. Come on. Can I do that? No. I'm going to kill the simulator and see if that helps. I would be shocked if that fixed it. But I have no other ideas right now. There we go. Finished whatever little fit it wanted to have. So let's look at this code that it generated. Wait, I have one more bite of golden grams. I'm going to eat this and then we'll go through it. Hello. So, first, it accesses the scroll view, and then it gets a child view of the scroll view. So, the problem with the way that it's doing this, because look, it's saying, go to the scroll view and get the first child, and then of that item, get the third child, or rather, the fifth child, and then get the first child of it. So what it's doing is it's going straight down the hierarchy of the view. So what that means is, let me open up main.storyboard to show you. Come on. It's like saying that this scroll view has 5 children, or rather the first child and then the fifth child of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's going to the first child of that. So that's that view right there. Now, as you can imagine, the problem with this is that if we change anything about the hierarchy of this view, this method's not going to work. This, like, take the first child, go get the fifth child, get the first child thing that we're doing in our test. Let me pull it up on the right here. Yeah. Like, this is really rigid, this UI identification method. So we'll think about how to change that maybe. But in the meantime, let's look what's next. Let featured phrase static text. So then it taps the featured phrase button, and here's what's actually happening there. Oh, whoa, no, 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 no. Let me run it so you can see this. Today is going to be a lot of waiting around for things to boot. Okay. So what happens is I click, so look where the featured phrase button is located. And then when I tap on these, and then when I tap the done button, look where my cursor is. So it thinks we're tapping the featured phrase thing because it doesn't understand the way the view actually looks. It's just looking at the hierarchy and it knows the featured phrase button is like there, but it doesn't know the actual element thing. So this is wrong. But we'll come back to that. So then we clicked on the second blog post, and then this swipe up was when we scrolled down, actually. We swipe up, to scroll down and get to the third element, which is this one. And then we tap the done button again. Except this time it picked the actual correct button. So we are going to steal this. Copy. Copy. We're going to call this done button. Don't worry, I have a master plan. And we're going to say that, and then we're going to rename this. Refactor, and it's going to be done button. Yeah. All right, so this is what we want, is we want this done button to be visible after we tap on this, but not visible after we tap on this. So let's see if we can figure out how to get that. So let's do this. XCT assert. Done. Let's see if we can find out how to assert something's visible. Let's try the last year. All right. What I found this hacking with Swift article. Let's see what it says. It says, let's see, how to get your various things. How to get your views, then how to interact with the views. You can tap in text, that's nice. Type in text. Can I assert visibility? Let's see if I can figure it out. Doesn't appear that way. If I put, no, try hidden. What was my Google search? Let's try XCT assert. What are people asserting in UI tests? A list of XC tests. Assertions, that's not really what I want. The computer just started buzzing. That's terrifying. So we have XCT assert. How would we go about asserting this? Let's try this. XCT assert view is on screen. Accessibility value. Oh, this is Objective-C. You can specify the title of the view controller. I don't think this is quite what I want. Yeah. You have to put exists. I would be surprised if this works, but we're going to try. Why can't I go to the right application? I feel like that's not going to work. This is going to need to be... I don't think this is going to work. Because this is going to also depend on timing. Let's see what happens when we run that. Alright, so the done button does, of course, exist. So we might need to either wait Let's see. What can we assert? Can I do that? And this is, we wouldn't want to do that. Oh, what are the attributes on XCUI elements? What are the attributes on XCUI elements? Has to be XCUI elements. Hmm. So it's got some attributes. What happens if we go to the documentation on the element itself? Exists. Hittable? Is hittable my key here? Let's try that. In the meantime, I want to see if we can delay while it animates down. I don't want to have to just sleep. Guess we could do something like this. Alright, well, we'll think about that. So that time our test passed, but it's because we made sure the button was hittable at a time when we actually don't want it to be. So what are we going to wait on? I'm not sure this is going to work. Because we actually want the done button to not be hittable at this point. We might have to wait. But we wouldn't really be able to wait for something to exist or not because all the views always exist. We just change their position relative to each other. What happens if we just sleep? I'm not advocating this as a general strategy. Okay, let's see how that does. Running, running, running. Theoretically, it should only really need 1 second. Because our animation takes half a second, test succeeded. Alright, now we're going to try making it faster. This is our amazing performance optimization. Are you ready? Boom. We're going to make it sleep for 1 second instead of 3. Will it blend? So now we can make sure it's not hittable after it's been tapped to go away. And then we can make sure that it is hittable here. I don't think it should need extra time there because we're not, like the done button comes up the very first thing when the animation starts. So I think we may not need to wait there. But we may need to wait there. Okay, so we want to make sure that you bring it up, you put it down. Okay. So here's what happens. We bring it up with the first blog post. We want to make sure the done button is hittable at this point. Then we're going to tap it. We're going to wait a second. We're going to say it shouldn't be visible. Then we're back on the home screen. We click on the second blog post. Yeah, tap on the second blog post. Make sure the done button is hittable. Hit it. Make sure it's not hittable. So we'll do that same thing there and see how our test does. Waiting. Test succeeded. Now, that's great. Here's my next question. Does it fail when the thing breaks? Because if it doesn't, there was no point. So we go to our home view controller. And I'm going to comment out this stuff. This is the stuff that dismisses the drawer, that makes the button not hittable when we click on it. So let's see if our test fails, because it has to if it's going to be of use to us. This is one of the fundamental things is testing. 1, when we tap a blog post, can you tap the done button? 2, when you tap the done button, can you no longer tap the done button? Because it goes off screen. It failed. Now what it fail on, assert that the done button is no longer hittable, and it isn't, and the reason that it isn't is that we have commented out the code that makes it go away and animate down. That's good, that's good. We got one more check to perform. One more check to perform. Hang on, we're almost there. Okay, so what we need to do is comment out sliding up the drawer animator. Okay, so let's try again. And this time we're expecting a failure, but a different failure. Failed. Let's go look at why. And this time, instead of failing on the assertion that the done button isn't hittable, it's failing on the assertion that the done button is hittable. Reason being, we commented out the code that slides up the drawer and makes that done button visible. So this is really good news. Our test works. I'm pretty jazzed. I think we should change the name of it. So let's change the name of our test from test example to test log post drawer slides out on tapping blog post preview and in when dismissed. And let's say up, slides up. Test blog post drawer. Test blog post slides up on tapping blog post preview and down and slides down and slides down when dismissed. Alright, so that's my name now. I commented everything back in. Let's make sure the test passes again. Come on. Now it's annoying me that this is a capital W and it should be a little w, but I can't touch it because the test suite's running. Is the test suite running? Thought the test suite was running. Alright, the build succeeded. Things are running. The test succeeded. Brilliant. Okay, so let's make a commit here. Git status. Put this over here. See what our last commit was. Yeah. Git add the one file. And then let's do, let me just minimize this other one for you. Git commit. And what do I want to say? I want to say adds UI test that blog post drawer slides up when a blog post preview is capped and down when it is dismissed. To achieve this, we are keying off the hitability of the done button that appears at the top of the drawer. The sleep commands are necessary because the drawer animates up and down with a half-second animation, and because the done button is at the top of the drawer, it is the last thing in the drawer to become not hittable. Takes almost the full 0.5 seconds. Now, could we make that 0.5 rather than 1? Maybe. Let's look at the sleep documentation. No, because it takes an integer. Never mind. I thought in my bones I knew it took an integer. That's why we didn't try anything else. It's beautiful. Let's push our commit to our lovely remote repo. Cool. Next time, I'd like us to do a little attempted refactor and try to turn that blog post preview into its own custom view. We copied and pasted it in the main.storyboard last time, or the last, when we were creating those, which is fine. It works when there's only 3 of them, but I think this is a good opportunity to see if we can extract that out and learn a little about the IB designables and working with Interface Builder custom objects while we're at it. So I'll see you then.